Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Back Shed. I'm back. After being gone for 2 months, here we are, back here in my shed, live with you on a Monday morning from Fair Oaks, California. And it is good to be here. Good to be with you. I'm Cliff Carey. I'm your host, in case you haven't met me before. But most of you who are joining along today probably have along the way. We have a lot of fun things, I think, that are in store this morning. And so we're going to jump right into it and get going here. So if you don't know, if you're here for the first time, I went on a 2-month sabbatical and was able to get away with my family. We went all over the country. We saw things and places that we have never seen before. It was a 9,119.2 mile trip. We saw, okay, let's see here, 27 states, 1,034 gallons of gas. How awesome was that? So a lot of fun for the Carey family as we got away. And if you came to church yesterday, or if you watched online, you heard me talk about how grateful I am to be a part of a church like Sunrise Community Church, where they believe it's important that our pastors are able to have rest, that our pastors are able to have good, healthy boundaries, all those kinds of things. And so, boy, April and I and the kids, we just came back with so much more gratitude for everything. And, oh boy, let me tell you, we are thankful that we live where we live. We're thankful that we have the church family that we have. I'm thankful to be a pastor at Sunrise. I've said that. We, golly, we went all over. So, by the way, Kathy, good to see you. Lynette, good to see you. I'm getting texts from Donna saying she didn't see me, but hopefully she's gonna jump on here. So hopefully we'll see Donna Dews and our regulars that watch along live here with us on Monday mornings. And if you're listening in the podcast version, let me highly recommend, if you want to jump in on the live part, we stream this live every Monday morning at 10 o'clock on the Facebook page of Sunrise Community Church. So you just search Sunrise Community Church in Fair Oaks, California on Facebook, and you'll come up with our page there, and you can watch this live stream and be a part of the discussion if you wish, on Monday mornings at 10 o'clock. Otherwise, we have a number of people that listen to us in the podcasting world, so they don't have to look at my shed and my face and that kind of thing. So those are all great options. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Cliff, we missed you. Hey, Barb, I want to tell you, and I alluded to it yesterday in my sermon, and I know you were watching along, but Cleveland was fantastic. Now we just drove through Cleveland because we were driving from Grand Rapids to Erie, Pennsylvania that day, and so we just kind of skirted through Cleveland. But it was a beautiful city. It was green, right there on Lake Erie, and we kind of came out of Cleveland and said, wow, that was much better than we thought it was going to be. So Barb, you live in a great place. I know you're outside of Cleveland a little ways, but that was fun to see your hometown there. Hey, Trudy, you're jumping in and you're saying, what was the bad word? So let's set some context. If you're watching, you didn't watch the sermon at Sunrise yesterday, I told a story that we had been driving through Minneapolis, and we were on our way to Duluth, Minnesota. So we had started the morning down in the very southwest corner of Minnesota, actually right across the border. We spent the night in Iowa. We got our RV park that night was at a casino on the border of Iowa and South Dakota. So it was $30, didn't have to go in the casino. It was a good deal. But we got up early the next morning and drove all the way to Duluth. Well, as we bypassed kind of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and went around through St. Paul. And as we were heading north, we're tired. April says, let's grab some coffee. We get off the freeway and find this coffee shop that's right next to a gas station. And when you're pulling the trailer and you're getting 8.5 miles to the gallon, you get gas whenever you can. Well, also, there was a fatal flaw at that point, is when you're pulling a 28-foot trailer with already a long 12, 14-foot vehicle, you can see I'm about 40 feet of operation that's going around. And in gas stations, maneuvering through gas stations, you do it very cautiously and with much trepidation. Well, apparently I didn't have enough trepidation, because as I was turning to pull out of the gas to where I was filling up and heading over towards where the coffee shop was, I suddenly heard screaming and a noise. I slammed on my brakes, which when you're going 2 miles an hour, slamming on your brakes is really it's a bit of an overstatement. But sure enough, the back of my trailer had come into contact with the back of a Honda Accord as a lady was filling up gas at the next aisle over, and she screamed and so on. And so as my son went back and told April in the coffee shop, he said, Dad got in a wreck. A lady screamed. Let me see. Dad got in a wreck. A lady screamed. He said a bad word. So there you go. Trudy, you want to know what the bad word was? Well, it is another word loosely translated for dung, if you must know. So there you go. I indeed am a sinner. That's right. I am a sinner, which is what we talked about in these are my notes from yesterday's message in Romans chapter 7. So we'll touch on that in the Bible study portion of the Backshed today. Wanted to, if you all are up for it, I want to give you some slides. I have some, not slides, some pictures along the way. I want to say hi to my friend Angie. Want to say hi to Lillian. Good to see you here this morning. And let's see, anyone that I missed along the way. Looks like we got everybody here. Micah, I am thrilled to be here in the shed. And want to thank you, Micah Paul, for jumping in and taking control of the app for this summer here at Sunrise. And that was a huge blessing to have Micah putting together all the sermon notes every week and updating those in the app and keeping the information in the app that was accurate. So we say. Okay, you want to see some pictures? Sure. Linda Chapman, good morning. I want to thank you, Linda, for being a part of the Backshed, the interview that we got to do with you and Rod and Angie. Did I miss anyone? I think it was the three of you. So powerful. And for all of you out there, if you didn't have a chance to watch that, that was back at the beginning of July, end of June, when those made their way onto the Backshed, those two recordings. You want to go back and see it. Linda, thank you for opening yourself up and letting us hear about changed life and so much after you lost your sweetheart of so many years, 50 years, I think. So we anyway, was very grateful. Those were two great episodes. Angie, you too. Just thank you both very much for being a part of that. Okay, so we started our trip, and this is where I do a little bit of a screen share with you, and I'll be doing this a little bit throughout the time here. But we started our trip. That was us right before we left. We looked happy and the trailer was intact. And may I point out there that you'll see that the only sticker on our little map over there, just off to my right side in that picture, your left as you're looking at it. The only sticker there is the state of California on that map. And so that's kind of a fun thing. But what I'm going to do in a little while is I'll show you the completed map. How about that? I'm actually putting together a video that I took of all of that. But we headed north. We hit Crater Lake. And you may have seen this picture that Luke posted on Facebook of our family at Crater Lake. It was a great time. It was a beautiful spot. We'd never been there before. There was snow everywhere. It was kind of closed down. And so not a lot of people roaming around there. Amazing. I would love to go back. Can't wait to go back, honestly. And but then we kind of made our way north, and what my son tried to do some fun things along the way everywhere he went. So he thought it would be fun to do push-ups every time he was visiting a new place. And so this is him at Crater Lake getting ready to do push-ups. I think I'm playing a video here. We'll see if it finally cues up. Looks like it's going to take forever, so we'll skip that. And but we made our way north and eventually found ourselves in Idaho. Look at that, Idaho. Beautiful, beautiful place, Coeur d'Alene. As I've told you, we have great friends that were there that moved up there a year ago. They gave us a place right out behind their house. So that's where we stayed at their place. Look at that. They even had a little thing there for the campground to let us know it was ours. But to skip ahead, a couple of our favorites, we spent time at Glacier National Park. And let me tell you, this place is absolutely breathtaking. And this one, I'm going to wait for the, I'll stop here for a second so you can see my pretty face, but I'm going to play this video. Here you go. This is the boat ride we took at Glacier as we were going out and about. I don't think the audio is working on this, but that's all right. You don't need to hear all of this audio. Let's see. Sorry about that. So there you go. That was our boat ride up at Glacier National Park. The place was, lots of it was still closed, so we weren't able to go to some of the famous parts of Glacier, but that's all right. So it was beautiful. And if you saw the weather, I mean, we were experiencing rain in Oregon. We were experiencing coming off of a pretty serious flood time up in Montana. And so it was just green as could be. Sometimes the most crazy things happen, though. We're walking through Glacier National Park, and as we're walking along, I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, he sure looks like a friend of mine. And so this is we kind of catch each other in the face. This is my friend Josh Becknell. He's a pastor over in the Bay Area, old friend. I've known him for a long time. He was there with his family. We had the most delightful time seeing Josh and his family. Complete surprise in Glacier National Park on a random hike. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all of the pictures, but I am going to do a couple of highlights. And I tell you what, these are just some beautiful spots. One of these is being Mount Rushmore, and Mount Rushmore ended up being my daughter Amelia's favorite place on this entire trip. She talked about it after this night. We had gone there, and everyone said at our campground, you have to see Mount Rushmore lit up at night when they do the ceremonial lighting of Mount Rushmore. And it was fantastic. It was patriotic. It was just a neat time of being able to be grateful for the country that we live in, and hear some amazing stories of courage of those four men who are there on Mount Rushmore, being George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. So there you go. That was Mount Rushmore. Yes, Donna, Peter is getting really tall. In fact, he is taller than us now. He's taller than me, and let me tell you, he lets me know it every day. Susan Patterson Cole, Sue Cole, good to see you. Fun to have you. Loved Oregon. And let's see here. All right, let's get a couple of more pictures along the way for you so you can see some of our highlights. Let's see. We got out of Mount Rushmore. We saw Badlands. We here's the Honda, just so you can see. Honestly, this is where I have to have integrity and be honest. The job I did on the Honda Accord outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul, it really wasn't a huge deal. So that's it. But would you believe when I scratched that bumper right there with the back of the trailer, broke off that lens right there, over $1,000 of damage to that car, because I think she had to get a new bumper because I did that. Yeah. Nice lady, though. So if you're going to have to hit someone, hit her. Like, she was the nicest person ever and very understanding. I mentioned that as we made it up to Duluth, Minnesota, that put us right on the edge of Lake Superior, the largest of the 5 Great Lakes. And one of the goals that we set out with in our trip was that we would see and experience all the Great Lakes. And my son Peter said, I would like to swim in all of the Great Lakes. And so we made that dream come true. Over a period of 10 days, our kids were able to swim in every one of the Great Lakes. And this is our kids with some of their second cousins that we were staying with there in Duluth. The water in Lake Superior is said to be in the high 30s, low 40s, and they all jumped in, including my sweet Emilia, all submerged themselves in Lake Superior in the freezing cold water. So Tabby Sporelights. I haven't gotten to Dodge City yet, and I'm going to be cautious. Oh my goodness. I probably owe you an apology after yesterday. I tried to keep control of myself, but it was tough. All right, let's move on and on down the road. A couple other highlights. Mackinac Island. If you haven't been to Mackinac, what a beautiful place. Talking about this island that's out in Lake, let's get all my lakes right, Huron, and which is right next to Lake Michigan, and it's just, the coast of Michigan there on the Upper Peninsula. And so we went out to Mackinac Island, got to see it. Beautiful place, and highly recommend visiting there if you ever get a chance. The kids swam in Lake Huron, then a couple of days later they swam in Lake Michigan when we were staying with some friends up there. And then it was the amazing Niagara Falls. So this one, I'm going to put our video up of where we were. It is, let's see. Oh, I'm going to share the sound. There we go. You can see here what we got to experience there at Niagara Falls. Look at that. I mean, they just drive you right there into the falls. This place was beyond spectacular. For our whole family, we kind of kept using this phrase. We were surprised at how this was the highlight of our trip. And there were so many different things like this where after we had done it, we just said, that was amazing. We had no clue. And Niagara Falls was one of those. It was just a gorgeous place. I can show you a picture of Canada. I think I took a picture of Canada yes, there is Canada from the U.S. side of Niagara Falls right there. That is Canada. Congratulations, Luke. There you go. As we made our way down towards the Pittsburgh, oh my goodness. I'm going to show you a picture I took in Pittsburgh. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a real picture. I took this picture in Pittsburgh. And let's see if I can come up with it. There it is. Oh, it is gorgeous. So I'll tell you a little bit about why we did Pittsburgh over a couple of days' time. And I ended up cropping this picture and turning it into a beautiful picture of the downtown skyline of Pittsburgh, which I'll show you here in a minute if I can pull it up. But the reason Pittsburgh stood out to me is I had gone there on a business trip many, many years ago, and it was just this neat city. People, it had this rich history of the steel industry, and the people love their city. They just speak so highly of their city. And I remember we were staying at a hotel and we were getting a ride from the guy, that's driving the hotel van, and he goes, "Oh, let me show you around the city." And we got this, this is years ago, a little tour of Pittsburgh. And I always thought after that trip, I want to take my family back someday. And so we stopped. We spent a couple of nights at a campground about a half hour out of Pittsburgh. The other thing that's kind of significant about Pittsburgh, I don't know if you know this, but Pittsburgh is the home of Fred Rogers. It's where Mr. Rogers came from. And, and that's one of those favorites of so many of us growing up. And, the Fred Rogers Company today puts out a children's cartoon called Daniel Tiger that my kids have watched and over the years. And along the way, they show these really cool parts of Pittsburgh in Daniel Tiger. And one of them is in one of the little scenes there. This is a terrible picture. I'm not going to show you that one. But they show this family riding in this little trolley up to the top of this place in Pittsburgh. And sure enough, we found the trolley. Again, terrible picture, but my kids will never see this, so they don't know. And we went up in this little trolley to the top of this hill and got to look out over the whole city. There's that picture of downtown that I took. So there you go, Pittsburgh. I'm a big fan. I would encourage you to go visit sometime. Great people. No, yeah. So now Barb mentioned Amish country. We didn't get to head into any Amish country. We were on the far west side of Pennsylvania. So we ended up not really seeing anything. And as you get out towards Lancaster and all of that, which is more on the central and western part of the state, or eastern, I'm sorry, part of the state, you start to get into a lot more of that Amish country. But beautiful and okay. Beautiful and okay. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Annabelle, we'd love to tell her about Daniel Tiger more there. Kay, do you want me to keep going? I'll keep going briefly here. And oh yes, so this was another huge highlight of the trip is our family did the tour of the Pittsburgh Steelers stadium, and with that we got to go in the locker room, Ben Roethlisberger's locker, other people like that. The kids loved it. Emilia would come out of this trip just going, the Steelers was my favorite part of the trip, Mount Rushmore and the Steelers. So go figure. But we got to go down and run out the tunnel, where the players take off when they head out onto the field. Here we are. I was going to run out the tunnel, and then they yelled at us not to go onto the grass. So we didn't get to go onto the grass, but we went down onto the main field in Pittsburgh. Anyway, a lot of other things, but that I will not bore you with. But what I will bore you with is the very end of the trip. And here is the map. That's right. There's the completed map. All the states, 27 of them. Some of them we barely touched our feet in, like, Oklahoma. We were in Oklahoma for about 3 minutes. And we were in Arkansas for about an hour. So there you go. We were in New Mexico for about 10 minutes. We went to Four Corners, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Nevada. We went through for a few minutes. But that was the sum total of the trip. So there you go. Any questions? Big thank you. Big thank you to all of you for being a part of it. Trudy, we've had this conversation, and I was told I was going to get in trouble with you for skipping Nebraska. Oh, well. Anyway, will I see you at your nephew's wedding? I'm doing the wedding. It's going to be good. Yeah, Nebraska. I've been there before. Anyway. So with that, this is the thing. How did my family enjoy being on the road? Donna, excellent question. It was a challenge for some. Really what became our second longest driving day happened to be Peter's birthday. So we drove from Duluth, Minnesota to Mackinac, Michigan in one day, which was about 420 miles on his 15th birthday. He was not happy at all with that. So that was come on. What are you doing for my birthday? You're doing that. And then my poor Audrey, her birthday was on a drive from Joplin, Missouri to Dodge City, Kansas. And that was her birthday. And, you got me thinking, and I know, Tammy, you wanted to see those Dodge City pictures. I don't know if we took a single picture in Dodge. That is fascinating. Nope, didn't do it. Didn't even take a picture on my daughter's birthday. How awful. Well, I took pictures, but I didn't take any of Dodge. So we got out of Dodge early in the morning, and the thing was, it was 111 degrees in Dodge City when we arrived. When we got our trailer parked and set up, we turned on the AC. It took 4 hours for the trailer to cool down. It was just that hot. The good news at the KOA or whatever the RV park where we stayed was that they had a pool that was not warm. So we got to cool down in that pool. Also, I didn't tell you about this. I got to see, this was really cool. We went through Wichita, Kansas on the way to Dodge City. And which was, by the way, Wichita, where we had the cheapest gas on the entire trip, I think $3.75 or something. But my dad grew up in Wichita, Kansas. And so my sister sent me his address for the house that he grew up in. And we drove into that neighborhood and drove right in front of his house. And it was a little awkward because, you have this massive trailer and from California coming through and staring at a house. But we got to see the house, just looked at it from the outside that my dad grew up in. And just a great connection with history and legacy and imagining my dad as a kid playing around there. He had polio as a 15-year-old and endured that there in that home. Lots of interesting things. So it was neat. My dad had passed away. It's been about 10, 11 years now. And so it was just neat to reconnect with my dad in that way. So that was a very significant part of the trip. But and so the kids were a little no, we didn't go to Boot Hill. Like I said, we're just like, we got into Dodge. It was hot. We swam, we slept, we left. That was it. But just so you know, my great grandmother, I think, hosted Wyatt Earp in Dodge City at her, I'm making some of this up, but this is how these stories go. But I think she had a boarding house in Dodge City back in the Wyatt Earp days. And when she arrived on the train, she had to be escorted by the sheriff to her boarding house because it was that dangerous back then. So there you go. Didn't go to Boot Hill. I feel like the trip did not give us rest, but the trip gave us connection, and it gave us a huge appreciation of these United States of America. I love this country. I love the people. And you know what? I loved coming home back here to California to where we are, to dry heat and not wet heat. All those kinds of things. So it's I'm proud to be an American. It's a great country. It's a beautiful country. The people are kind-hearted for the most part, except for the couple along the way that saluted me with their middle fingers. But that's what happened when you're driving a trailer. So but it brought out some of my own frustrations along the way, short-temperedness with my children along the way. And this is what I alluded to when I was talking about it in church yesterday, that by the time I got home, I had this laundry list of things that I thought I needed to work on and get right in my life. And so I started looking at all these things and really listing them down and said, I'm frustrated about this. I wish I did this better. I want to do this better at work. I want to do this better at home. I want to, be a better husband in this way. I want to be a better parent in this way, and kind of laid all these things out. And that's when and in so many ways, and I think that's the Holy Spirit, because if you look back at that passage in Romans 7 that we talked about yesterday at church, that the law reveals our sin, right? And so much I felt like just being confronted with my sinfulness on this trip in how I think or approach my kids or anything like that. And the law exposes that, and then the Holy Spirit exposes and reveals our sin, and our kids do too. But it was so amazing for me to hear God say, "But I get to restore you, and I get to build you back up." And I didn't hear those audible words or anything like that, but God made it clear, like, yeah, all the sin gets exposed, and then I get to work on it with you. And I get to remove it, and I get to replace it with, what's better. And so it's great to identify it. It's great to know it, but it's so amazing to be forgiven and to be redeemed, and to have God working with me through the Holy Spirit to put to death those old things, right? Those things that belong to the sinful nature that we are to put to death, and that they're not part of our new redeemed selves. And isn't that something we can just be praising God for, right? Because I think we have to be hard on ourselves sometime and not tolerate sin, and yet we also have to accept the forgiveness that only comes in Jesus Christ and the redemption through his blood, right? I love it. So that's the redemption story. That was our trip in a nutshell. And God's grace is good. When I got home yesterday, I did a little bit of work here in the shed. So we're going to go on a wide shot. I'm going to change my camera over to my GoPro that I've since mounted in the over here. There you go. And you can see sunshine's hanging up, but I spent yesterday doing some cleaning in here, right? So you can see where I have all of this counter over here that I have cleaned up. And I said, one of those things, I came back, it's time to clean the shed out. And April even told me, she walked into the shed the other day, she says, it's making me anxious. So we've been working on the shed. You can see that. And it's nice to kind of have it a little cleaner right now. Do you see more license plates? Yeah, well, I think, there's some others there that you may not have been able to see before there, Donna. So that's what those are. I've got you all are used to seeing those right there, but then they have the other ones up there. Can I get my finger on the yellow one? The yellow one right there. That one is when I was out in Colorado a year ago at our place, I was getting some license plates, and I said, I want that license plate. And so I yanked it off of an old truck that's on our property and pulled it and brought it home. I mean, the truck hasn't been registered for 20 something years, maybe 30 years. But look at that, ZA-3 was the license plate number. And back in those days in Colorado, every county had a 2-letter code. Ours was ZA, and we were the 3rd truck to be registered in the county that year. There you go. So there you go. You got a view of the shed. How do you like this angle? Does that work better for you? You can see sunshine. Sunshine, where'd you go? There you go, girl. Yeah. Sunshine, thanks to Larissa and James Brennan for watching Sunshine, living at our home for a month and a half while we were out of town and taking care of Sunshine. She got skunked twice. How about that? 2 times the dog got skunked. But now I hope she's learned her lesson. Doubtful. All right, y'all. Let's pray. We're going to close it off and then be on our way. Father, thank you today for just an amazing summer. And thank you for rest. Thank you for getting to see this beautiful world that you have created, to do that with my family and to have a church that's willing to support and make something like that happen. Thank you for the people who secretly sent me gas money and all those kinds of things. And God, it's been so good. And I thank you for my friends, excited for this new season, for this fall, and what you have for us. So would you be in control of what we're doing here in the shed? And Father, would you be in control of our lives every day? And would we turn that over to you, that you would help us to live lives as redeemed followers of you? In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So there you go. Yeah, comment on the camera angles. I have multiple camera angles that I'm able to use. So we've got this one, right? Okay, so this is the GoPro. It's the back wide shot. When I turn that light off, things get a little wonky. Our other camera angle, for those watching along, we have the this one. This is the kind of close in HD camera that gets a little more of an angle. And then we have the old traditional, we'll go with this. This is the camera that's on the computer. And this is the old angle that we've used in the past that is very familiar to you. So, vote on your favorite angle, or we can do a different one every time. Those of you listening with no video, I have no clue, figure it out. If you have any ideas, let me know. But reminding you, if you are listening and found us and want to watch live, do that on Facebook Live, Sunrise Community Church, Monday mornings at 10 o'clock. If you would like to watch along, but you're not able to do it live, go to youtube.com/Sunrise Community Church, and you can watch our video version. Otherwise, if you'd like to listen in the podcast version at your leisure, our podcast gets dropped around noon every Monday, and you can listen to the back shed as you ride along in your car and things like that. Let's go. I like the GoPro angle today. Let's do GoPro. That said, I will look forward to seeing you next week. I am going to be gone over the weekend up at Hume Lake, and if all goes well, I will be recording back shed from Hume Lake over the weekend. So you'll get to see a hopefully gorgeous outdoor back shed that we'll be putting on Monday morning. So have a great week, everyone. I love you. God bless. And as you know it, this is that point where I say stop live stream. So God bless you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.